I never thought silence could be so loud. The dim glow of the streetlights barely touched the edges of my driveway as I stepped out of my car, exhausted from another long shift. The house stood still, eerily quiet, but something felt off. A gut feeling. That instinct you can't explain, but just know. I was about to open the front door when I heard laughter, her laughter, floating from the back porch. Light, carefree, like she had no worries in the world. I frowned. It was late. Too late for guests. Then another voice. A man's voice. My chest tightened. I gripped the doorknob but didn't turn it. Instead, I moved toward the side of the house, my steps careful, deliberate. I could hear them more clearly now. "He's so clueless," she giggled. "I could never be with him again. Not after being with you." I froze. My own heartbeat pounded in my ears, drowning out the crickets in the distance. My breathing slowed, controlled, as if my body was trying to delay the inevitable. I wanted to believe I misheard, that this wasn't happening, that she, the woman I built my life with, wasn't out there, under the same stars we once watched together, confessing to someone else. "Then why stay?" the man asked, his voice smooth, smug. "For now, convenience, money, until I figure things out." I felt the ground beneath me shift, like reality itself was betraying me. My fingers curled into fists, nails digging into my palm to keep myself from storming in. 10 years. 10 years of love, sacrifices, late-night talks, and dreams of the future, all reduced to convenience. The weight of betrayal pressed down on me, suffocating yet sharpening my focus at the same time. I could barge in right now, demand answers, scream, break things. But what would that do? Give her the satisfaction of seeing me broken? No. Instead, I took a deep breath and stepped back, my mind already racing with something else. She thought I was clueless. She thought I was weak. She had no idea what was coming. Looking back, it almost feels like a cruel joke. The kind where the punchline is your entire life unraveling before your eyes. For 10 years, I believed I had it all. A loving wife, a beautiful home, a future we built together. I still remember the way she used to look at me, like I was her whole world. Our wedding day played in my mind like an old movie reel. Her smile, the way she held my hand so tightly during our vows, the whispered, "Forever just for me." We were happy. At least, that's what I thought. Weekends were ours, filled with lazy mornings wrapped up in blankets and late-night drives just to talk about nothing and everything. We planned vacations we never took, named kids we never had, and dreamed of growing old together. I worked hard to give her a good life, sacrificing long nights and countless hours to build something stable for us. She always said she understood, that she was proud of me. Maybe that was a first lie. The signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. It started small. Her phone never leaving her hand, the sudden late nights at work, the quiet moments when I catch her staring at me, expression unreadable. When I asked if everything was okay, she'd smile and brush it off with a kiss. "Just tired, babe." Then came the changes. The new perfume she never wore for me. The gym sessions at odd hours. The way she started locking her phone, something she never did before. One night, she came home late, the scent of cologne that wasn't mine clinging to her skin. I asked who she was with. She laughed it off. "God, you're so paranoid." Paranoid. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Because if I didn't, if I let those creeping doubts sink in, I'd have to accept the truth, that the woman I loved was slipping away from me, or worse, that she had already left and I was too blind to notice. Then came that night. I hadn't planned on coming home early, but I'd finished work sooner than expected. I wanted to surprise her, maybe pick up takeout from her favorite place, remind her that I still noticed the little things, that I still loved her. But as I pulled in the driveway, I saw an unfamiliar car parked outside, a black BMW. Tinted windows, sleek, expensive, a car I knew damn well didn't belong to any of her friends. My stomach twisted, a sickening dread settling in my bones. Still, I forced myself to stay calm. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was being paranoid again. I stepped out quietly, moving around the side of the house instead of going through the front. That's when I heard them, her laughter light and careless, followed by a man's voice, smooth and confident. I didn't need to see them to know. The truth was right there, stabbing through me like a blade. He's so clueless. I could never be with him again, not after being with you. The world tilted, my breath caught in my throat. I want to believe I misheard, that this wasn't real, but her next words crushed that hope into dust. For now, convenience, money, until I figure things out. A decade of love, of trust, of building something together, shattered in a few careless sentences. I should have stormed in, confronted her, demanded an explanation. But in that moment, standing there in the shadows, something inside me changed. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. Heartbreak didn't last long. By the time I stepped away from that conversation, something inside me had already snapped into place. Cold, focused, calculating. I wasn't about to be another sob story, another clueless husband left picking up the shattered pieces of a life he thought was real. No, she thought I was clueless, that I was just a convenient, pathetic safety net until she was ready to move on. Let's see how convenient her life would be when I was done with her. That night, I didn't sleep. Instead, I sat in my office, sipping on a glass of whiskey, my mind running through everything I needed to do. This wasn't just about catching her. This was about destroying her, piece by piece, the same way she had destroyed me. First, I needed proof. Solid, undeniable proof. I spent the next few hours setting up hidden cameras inside the house. One in the living room, one in the bedroom, and one in the hallway near the front door. Tiny, undetectable, and connected straight to my phone. Next was her car. A small GPS tracker tucked beneath the dashboard. If she wanted to sneak around behind my back, she was going to have an uninvited passenger on every trip. Then came her phone. She was smart, but not that smart. I had set up her phone for her years ago, and she never changed the passwords. Within minutes, I had access to her messages, emails, and even her location history. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. Messages between her and Jay, the same man I had overheard. Their conversations were sickening. Her gushing over how exciting it felt to sneak around, how I was too busy working to notice. Him telling her he couldn't wait for her to leave me, to finally be together for real. Interesting, because according to my quick deep dive into his social media, Jay wasn't exactly single either. In fact, he had a fiancée, a beautiful, unsuspecting woman who had no idea she was engaged to a snake. Perfect. I wasn't about to make a move without every single detail. That's where the private investigator came in. I found a guy online, someone discreet, no questions asked. Within a day, he had sent me photos of my wife and Jay at a hotel, meeting up at restaurants, even sneaking kisses in the parking lot behind her office. The timestamps matched the nights she told me she was working late. Lie after lie, deception layered so thick it was almost impressive. Almost. But the best part? She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to drain our accounts before she left. Emails between her and a divorce attorney outlined her game plan. Wait until I got my next work bonus, file for divorce, and take half of everything. I laughed. Actually laughed. She really thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. She had no idea I was about to flip the whole damn board over. Now that I had everything, it was time to set the stage. I started small, acting normal, pretending like I hadn't seen the messages, hadn't heard the betrayal with my own ears. She kissed me goodbye in the mornings, and I smiled back. She told me she loved me, and I said it right back, my voice steady, convincing. Inside, I was counting down the days. I prepared everything meticulously, transferred my money into a separate account, met with my own divorce attorney, one of the best in the city, gathered all the proof into a neatly organized folder labeled her lies. And the final touch? A little meeting with Jay's fiancée. Because if my wife thought she was about to ride off into the sunset with her new man, she was in for a rude awakening. And best believe I'd be front row center to watch her whole world burn. Betrayal is a funny thing. It doesn't just break you, it changes you. I wasn't the heartbroken husband anymore. That man died tonight. I overheard my wife laughing about how clueless I was. The man who stood in his place, he was ready. Every piece was in place, every detail perfected. And now, it was showtime. I wanted my wife to feel safe, to believe that everything was going exactly how she planned. So for the next few days, I played my role perfectly, smiling, kissing her goodnight, pretending like I hadn't uncovered every single one of her lies. She had no clue she was about to walk straight into the biggest humiliation of her life. The main event, a romantic anniversary party I planned just for her. She thought she was winning, that she had me wrapped around her finger, that soon she'd take half my money and run off into the sunset with Jay. Oh, how wrong she was. I rented out a beautiful banquet hall, invited all our friends and family, and even made sure her dear lover Jay and his unsuspecting fiancée were on the guest list. She thought it was a celebration of our love. In a way, it was a celebration of her love for betrayal. The night arrived. My wife walked in, dressed in a stunning red dress, a picture of confidence and arrogance. She had no idea that by the time she left, the only thing she'd be carrying was regret. I welcomed her warmly, kissed her on the cheek, and led her into the hall, where dozens of guests had gathered. "Everyone's here for you, babe," I whispered, watching as she beamed with fake affection. She had no idea what was coming. Once everyone had settled, I took the stage, microphone in hand, and smiled. "First of all, thank you all for coming tonight. This is a very special night for me and my wonderful wife." The crowd cheered. My wife smiled, playing the role of the devoted partner. I glanced at her, then at Jay, who stood at the back, sipping champagne, smug as ever. His fiancée was right beside him, completely unaware of the storm about to hit. "Marriage is built on trust," I continued, "on love, loyalty, and honesty. And my wife, well, she's taught me a lot about trust." I turned to look at her, and for the first time that night, I saw it, the slight shift in her expression. Unease. Good. I pulled out a small remote from my pocket and clicked a button. The projector screen behind me lit up. And just like that, her entire world came crashing down. The first video played grainy black and white footage of my wife kissing Jay in the parking lot behind her office. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then another clip, her laughing on a phone call. "He's so clueless. I could never be with him again." The room fell silent. My wife's face drained of color. I turned to her, tilting my head. "That's you, isn't it, sweetheart?" She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I wasn't done. Next up, the emails. Screenshots of her messages to Jay, plotting how she'd take half of my money before running off with him. More gasps. Someone cursed under their breath. I turned to Jay's fiancée. "By the way, I figured you should see these too, since, your fiancée was so busy stealing mine." The poor woman looked like she'd been physically slapped. She turned to Jay, shaking, then grabbed a glass of wine and threw it straight in his face. "Beautiful," Jay stammered, trying to explain, but she was already storming out of the room. And my wife, she looked like she was about to faint. I wasn't done with her yet. She finally found her voice. "Please, I can explain." I held up a hand. "Oh, don't worry. I have something for you." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. She actually looked hopeful for a second, probably thinking I was about to forgive her. I flipped it open. Inside was her wedding ring. Crushed, bent, useless, just like our marriage. I took her hand, placed the broken ring in her palm, and leaned in close. "You thought you broke me? Nah, sweetheart. You just set me free." I turned, walked off the stage, and straight out of her life. Behind me, the room erupted. Guests whispering, her friends staring in shock, her family looking disgusted. I didn't care. I never looked back. And that was the most satisfying part of all. I didn't stay to watch the fallout. I didn't need to. By the time I walked out of that banquet hall, my ex-wife, was already spiraling into full-blown panic mode, desperately scrambling to salvage whatever dignity she had left. But there was nothing to salvage. Not anymore. I had burned everything down. and it felt damn good. She showed up at the house the next morning, pounding on the door like a madwoman. I had expected this. The begging, the crying, the desperate attempt to twist the knife back in my direction. When I finally opened the door, she stood there, makeup smudged, eyes red and swollen. The same woman who had laughed at my supposed cluelessness now looked like a ghost of herself. "Please, we need to talk." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Talk? You mean like how you talked about using me for convenience? Or maybe how you planned to drain my bank account before running off with your side piece?" She flinched, shaking her head. I was stupid. I was so stupid. It didn't mean anything. Jay, he was just a mistake. I smirked. "Funny, you didn't sound like it was a mistake when you were sneaking off to hotels with him." Tears streamed down her face now. The confident, smug woman who had once played me for a fool was gone, and standing in her place was someone who had finally realized the gravity of what she had lost. "I love you," she choked out. "You have to believe me." I let out a cold laugh. "Love? You don't even know what that means." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Please, let's fix this." That's when I turned, grabbed something from inside the house, and tossed it at her feet. A duffel bag. "What's this?" she asked, her voice small. "Your stuff. The rest? Already sent to your new boyfriend's place. Hope he has room for all your baggage." Her face crumpled. "Don't do this." "I can't." I cut her off. "You already did. Now get off my porch." She didn't move. So I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "You made your choice, and now you get to live with it." She sobbed, dropping to her knees. "I don't want him. I want you." I tilted my head. "Too bad, because I don't want you." And with that, I shut the door in her face. She tried to reach me after that. Texts, calls, even emails. I ignored every single one. I focused on myself. Hit the gym. Got my finances in order. Even booked a vacation, one I had originally planned for our anniversary. Except now, I was taking it alone. The last time I saw her, she was a mess. Jay had dumped her. Her reputation? Shattered. And me? I was thriving. Because the best revenge wasn't ruining her life. It was proving she never had the power to ruin mine. The funny thing about betrayal? It doesn't destroy you. It forces you to rebuild. For weeks after the party, after throwing my wife out of my life like the garbage I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. No more late-night doubts. No more questioning if I was paranoid. No more coming home to a woman who smiled to my face while stabbing me in the back. I was free. She kept trying to contact me. Desperate voicemails. Teary texts. All the usual tactics of someone who had finally realized the consequences of their own actions. I never answered. I was done with her. But just for fun, I watched from a distance as her life fell apart. Jay had dumped her the moment his fiancée found out the truth. And unlike me, he didn't waste time giving her the dignity of conversation. He packed up and left overnight. Blocked her. Moved on. Her social circle? Gone. Her family? Ashamed. The house she thought she'd take from me in the divorce? She never got a penny. Because while she had been busy plotting, I had been 10 steps ahead. The prenup she had laughed about when we first got married, it saved me. Every single account, every asset, every dime. Protected. She walked away with nothing. Actually, scratch that. She walked away with something. Humiliation. And I walked away without a scratch. I didn't date right away. Didn't rush into anything. I needed to find myself again. So I traveled. Took that vacation to Greece. The one she always said we were too busy for. I hiked cliffs, swam in the bluest waters, ate meals I never would try before. And for the first time in years, I felt alive. I realized something important during that trip. She hadn't just cheated on me. She had held me back. All the things I sacrificed, the endless hours of work, the stress of making sure she had everything she wanted, she had never appreciated any of it. So why the hell had I ever held myself back for her? Underscore, 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 underscore. The last time I saw her, months passed. The texts had finally stopped. The calls too. Then, one random afternoon, I ran into her at a coffee shop. She looked different, not in a good way. The confidence? Gone. The expensive jewelry and designer handbags? Replaced with something cheaper. She looked smaller, like life had chewed her up and spat her out. She saw me, and I saw the regret hit her, like a freight train. "Hey!" She started, her voice uncertain. I smiled, sipping my coffee. "Hey!" She hesitated. "You look good." "Yeah," I said, shrugging. "I know." Her face crumpled. "I miss you." I let her words hang in the air for a moment. Then, with a slow smile, I said the words I had been waiting to say for months. "I don't miss you at all." And just like that, I walked away. No anger, no sadness, just freedom, because she thought she broke me. But in reality, she just set me free.